let's get this week 4 NFL scores out, shall we? We're going to start off with last Thursday's game with Cincinnati and Miami. Cincinnati beat Miami. Now, Tua got knocked out. He had a concussion. He should have never even been playing in the game. Cincinnati rebounded. The offensive line actually showed up for a change. Burrows only got sacked once. And then they hit some big plays and they exposed Miami. Miami didn't have a little bit of an out of body so far. So it's going to be interesting with Teddy Bridgewater, what Miami going to do without Tua. And you know, they've been playing a little bit over their head. They look a little bit better than they should be. We'll see. Cincinnati back, time will tell. I'm gonna tell you, between Cincinnati and the Rams, I can't really tell who looks like they're back from the hangover from the Super Bowl because they both look kind of murky. Elsewhere in London yesterday, Minnesota beat New Orleans. Minnesota had enough to win. New Orleans, the kicker almost made that 61-yard field goal. The game was played in London. Big win for Minnesota. New Orleans is one of those teams, they're going to play hard, but they just are missing the right quarterback, the right head coach. And they're just a step off, and it shows. And they really just aren't quite there. Seattle beat Detroit in a game of what I call third-tier teams that somebody had to win, but it was 48-45. Good Lord. And remember, Detroit's kicker was a Poochie. He missed 2 extra points. Who knows what that game was like? I mean, that game, it was a high-scoring game, but you can tell those two teams. Geno Smith, lucky he don't get drug tested. He ain't going to never play like that. And Jared Goff, it's a long way from L.A. Detroit is Detroit. The offense is there, but they don't play no defense. I mean, that was, I don't know. Jets beat Pittsburgh. Well, Mike Tomlin finally got smart. He benched Mitchell Trubisky about time. Zachary Wilson came on for the Jets. It's a lackluster game, I mean, really, these two teams, it's not a good look. In certain situations that you see, not a good look. Giants beat Chicago. Giants a little bit better. Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, they rebounded from that loss against Dallas. I like Fields for Chicago, but the Bears just don't have enough offense. They're just a one-dimensional, one-trick team. And if they can't power run you and get a couple turnovers, there ain't much to them. Tennessee beats Indy. Tennessee won back-to-back games. They can come on a little bit. Ryan Tannehill. Matt Ryan looked old, looked busted. And I thought with Jonathan Taylor it'd be a little bit of something, but they just ain't. They're a step off from where they were. And I like Frank Reich as their coach, but the coach they need a real quarterback that's kind of young and stop trying to get these leftover washed ups from Carson Wentz. And they had Phillip Rivers, and now they got Matt Ryan. Stop the oldies but goodies. Really stop. Chargers beat Houston. Game got a little interesting, but Herbert, they did enough to win that game. I like Lovie Smith with Houston, but they just look like a third-tier team that's going to be competitive to an extent, but it ain't going to matter much. They're not going to win too many games. It shows. Atlanta beat Cleveland. Atlanta's offense has been on point. Mary Mariota is going to be interesting. He's, kind of, run-of-the-mill kind of teams, but they will be they'll be in some games. They have enough to be in them. Elsewhere, Dallas beat Washington. And I'm so tired of hearing about Cooper Rush. He is not a starting quarterback. He's not better than Dak Prescott. What he has done is do enough to sustain and to maintain. And their defense is great. Offensively, they're hit and miss. It's enough to beat whack teams like Washington. Ron Rivera, who I like, but he can't coach offense. He's never done right by his quarterbacks. Washington is stuck with Carson Wentz, and it's going to be a long season. Their season is almost over, barring some merit. They need a new owner, a coach who understands offense, and a real quarterback. And they don't have none of the above. It's a disaster there. Again, I don't care if they change the name to the Commodores or Comets. There's no name change. They're just stuck in the mud. Philly beat Jacksonville. Very impressive win. Trevor Lawrence looks good. Jacksonville looks better. Doug Peterson done a good job with Jacksonville. They're going to be a very competitive team. Philly right now looks like the best team in the NFC. Jalen Hurts is balling. The good balance of run, good balance of defense. That's a team that could be a problem. They're not going to lose too many games. I'm here to tell you, Philly is for real. Elsewhere, my Buffalo Bills, they beat Baltimore. But like I said before about Josh Allen, got to start with the hero ball. Got to make Singletary run. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest quarterback talents I've ever seen. I just think that they don't have the defense, they don't have enough firepower, and Harbaugh got to think of something because you can't keep blowing leads at home. But Lamar does enough, but they don't have enough. If the Bills stay away from the hero ball and let their offensive run with some more running, a balanced run attack, and don't let Josh Allen play hero ball, they can be real scary. They got very fortunate in that game. Very. Um, Elsewhere, the Raiders beat Denver. Yeah, Derek Carr won his first game of the season, I think, but Russell Wilson still looking old, and his head coach Hackett looks like he's lost. Denver is just an embarrassment right now, really. I mean, really, come on now. The Raiders playing all right, but that division had turned into a laughing stock. It's not even that close. It's pretty much one team and everybody else, and that's Kansas City. Elsewhere, Green Bay beat New England in an overtime game. Really now? Packers struggling against fourth-tier quarterbacks, because I'm going to tell you something. Mac and Cheese Jones didn't play because he was hurt. Brian Hoyer is really a second, third tier, and after every quarterback at that is like third and fourth. So, really now? That's not a good look for Green Bay. They should have smashed New England, and I don't think Green Bay going to be that good. Kansas City beat Tampa Bay last night. End of an era. Watching Mahomes against Brady. Once that turnover came out to start the game, Kansas City was just too much. And you can't give Mahomes a short field. He worked his Steph Curry magic. He got that behind. Tampa Bay could not run. Leonard Fournette could not run. Brady had some nice stats with Mike Evans back, but they're going to have a problem against high potent offenses. That's going to be a problem. And they're missing Gronk. They're missing reliability to get in the end zone. That's a problem I see with Tampa. Defense got some breakdowns, but that's a lot to do with Mahomes. And tonight, Frisco beat the Rams. I always talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, remind me of Chachi, Scott Baio, because he could never cool to be the Farms, but he was Chachi. They got the Rams number. Aside from the NFC Championship game, they got their number. And Matthew Stafford looked like StatPad, looked like he off again. Rams got beat up pretty physical tonight, so Frisco, realistically, if that game against Chicago and then that game last week against Denver, they could easily be undefeated right now. With a couple plays here and there, So we'll see how it all turns out. But anyway, that's the week 4 in review. How did your team do? Let me know your thoughts and your takes below. And I'm out. Peace.